Hi, I'm Mike Morales. You're watching Tequila Aficionado and sipping off the cuff, proudly on Tequila Aficionado Media or YouTube. And I'm here in San Antonio. That gentleman over there is.
Rick Letty in San Diego.
And Rick and I, it's interesting. Rick and I have been dissecting the lovely and talented Don Pilar. You may have seen us, Alex and myself, talk about the Blanco and the Extra Añejo. And Rick was involved in the I guess it was a some sort of what do we call those, where it was some kind of test market or a focus group on the Reposado version. It's really interesting because this brand came out. This was the first iteration of this tequila, was an añejo, which is kind of odd for a brand to come out with an añejo. I've heard it said
But, we've seen something similar with Machote, where they're only a reposado. And they've been great.
They haven't come out with any other expressions.
Yeah.
And you, if you followed us on the Reposado edition, Rick kind of explained to you that this was like the tequila cha-cha. Don Pilar went two steps forward, two steps back.
Two steps back to the Reposado.
To the Blanco.
And then they went 3 steps forward to the XA.
Yeah.
And then 2 steps back again to the Reposado.
So it was a tequila cha-cha. It was a Don Pilar cha-cha-cha. And anyway, we are looking at the Añejo. Now, I'm going to be using my Bormioli. The Bormioli glass. And Rick, of course,
I'm using the classic Riedel.
He's using the classic.
I feel like the Riedel is really speaks well for this profile.
Okay. You had, off camera, we had several questions concerning this añejo, and maybe you want to tell the folks out there why you had questions on the age of the añejo, because it was confusing to me.
So I have the añejo it's a lot from 2009 that I've had in my library, and on this one, my lighting's not great here, but so that had 1 age on it,
right?
And then I received their box with the current lot for the new añejo. The new añejo says 16 months on the front of the box, and it says 13 months on the back. And then I think it's possible that it says something different on the bottle itself. And then, so the bottle says over 12 months. And then I think the website may say something else as well.
Yeah, let me.
And so I guess what we figured out they're doing is I guess it may vary from lot to lot, because what they're actually doing is they're blending between different barrels within the same age category. And so I think, that number shifts a little.
Yeah, from what I know about the master distiller, which again is Leopoldo Solis and Gabriel Spindola, those two gentlemen are responsible for the Mozart method, for using it on several different tequilas from some of our favorite distilleries. And they, if I'm not mistaken, they are also involved in the barrel management of Don Pilar. And I mean, they're very hands-on. So, they're going to taste it and taste it and taste it until they have an agreement that this is the age that they need to release. And the website says it's aged for 18 months in virgin American white oak barrels. So I don't know.
So we have 18, 16, 13, over 12.
Yeah, so
it's somewhere in there. It's definitely
menos. Yeah, I think it's a más o menos, and it really. And again, I got the explanation from the gal who imports and handles Don Pilar here in Texas, and what she told me is because of the reason there's so many different numbers is that they only use these barrels 5 times. So for So
Yeah,
obviously,
barrels start out brand new, never been used,
right?
and then they'll use them 5 times.
Yeah,
And so
and then they get
it
rid of
makes
them.
sense that they have to do a little bit of a blend before they go into the bottle so that they can have a consistent profile.
Exactly. And so I think that's the reason why. So I don't know about you, but if it were me, I think that whatever is printed on the bottle and the lot may be the most accurate of this particular lot line, but or suffice it to say that it's any aged anywhere from 16 up to 18 months. Okay, so but strictly speaking, it's an añejo. you
Yeah.
know,
And I frankly I don't have a problem with it. It's because they're trying to be consistent with the profile.
yeah, or as
And I
consistent as they
think
possibly
that's
can.
the responsible way to go because if you're going to keep it in the barrel just to match the number on the box, but you're going to end up having a different flavor profile for every bottling, then what's the greater sin?
Yeah,
They're certainly not breaking any CRT rules because it's all within the añejo range and they're maintaining a consistent profile. So
I think I I give them props for being so consistent and going. You know what? I know this is 16 months, but I'm telling you, it's not as good as the previous lot, or I think it can get better. You know, I can only
yeah,
imagine what it's like to do a taste testing. Yeah, I've never been involved in one. I would like to be, to see, to make a decision and go, nah, I think we can do better, and just leave it back in the barrel. Just pull it out, taste it at 55 ABV, and go, nah, it's just not quite there. Can you imagine what that's like? You gotta pull your hair out, because what if you mess it up, what if they come back next month and go, oh man, we should have pulled it out of the barrel last month because this month it tastes
well,
awful.
and that's the benefit of having barrels that you've used a different number of times. Because if you leave it too long in the brand new barrel, it's probably going to pick up more flavor than the one that it's on its fifth use
Right.
that you left it in. And so then maybe if you blend them, maybe you hit the mark in between.
It's a barrel
I'm sure it's
management.
art.
I tell you what, it's all an art. Fermentation, distillation. Whether it's double, triple, quadruple, like we were doing last week with our marrow, and then, I first heard the term barrel management from Germán Gonzalez, from the guy, the innovator of T1, and of course in Chinaco. I've never heard the phrase barrel management. You know, there's got to be a guy who's got to watch these things and go, okay, it's picking up too much wood, or
Yeah.
it's not picking up enough. We got to get rid of all these barrels. They're diseased. We can't toast them anymore. They're awful.
It's got to be like baking a cake or something. You got to keep your eye on it.
You got to keep an eye on the
But
altitude.
it's like these are the guys. These are the guys that can figure out the difference between playing Mozart to their fermentation tanks versus Vivaldi.
Well, now and see, some brands, Newham 1414 play Vivaldi, and they play they know which movement of Vivaldi they're playing. These are also the guys who have there are samples, and I've told this to Alex. There are samples of tequila made with Beatles music. There's somewhere there's a Black Sabbath version of this tequila somewhere. They have samples of tequila that have been fermented using rock music and heavy metal, and Baroque and classical music is what they have determined makes the best. And I guess in Gnome
Well,
1414's
until we get the AC/DC tequila.
yeah, well, I know, right? Thunderstruck. If you're watching, I tried. I've tried. We are constantly soliciting tequila. So if you're watching Thunderstruck, you owe me a few bottles.
We're waiting.
We're waiting. All right. Well, I poured my añejo in the Bormioli,
Right.
and let's first of all look at the color on that.
Oh,
That's just a beautiful color,
such
man.
a beautiful gold. Mm.
Oh, wow. There we go.
Ugh. Such
Wow.
gorgeous barrel notes.
Yeah. Now I'm getting honey. I'm getting caramel. You know,
Yeah.
the notes are way more
I'm getting
pronounced.
more notes on the agave too. It's probably, it smells more like baked agave to me than in the other expressions. I got lots of kind of more green notes, and I'm sure it's just because of the barrel. But
This is beautiful. Oh my
and
God.
I'm
This is
getting some citrus, like some grapefruit.
there's a baking spice. You know, there's a spiciness on the nose. It's just and I'll tell you what, Rick, it's very reminiscent of the extra añejo. The extra añejo you think can't get any more pronounced, and it actually does. But the extra añejo throws in that dried fruit. I'm not getting that here. Like you said,
Yeah,
I'm getting more of the fresh fruit, a little bit, but more of the spiciness coming from the wood.
and then a little bit of butter and like maybe a hint of caramel.
Wow. Oh, that's so beautiful. It's
Ah,
right here too, man. This is just
yeah,
I
and
gotta go
that
in.
that barrel spice is, it's so much fun.
Mm. Oh, oh,
It enters oily,
yeah,
but then a little bit of dry tannin effect.
yeah. It is kind of it kind of goes in. It goes in a little sweet and finishes dry, which is really it's odd because sometimes you get bourbon like that. You know, they
And
goes
then
in
the,
sweet and
the
finishes
pepper
dry.
spice.
Yeah, but again, these are virgin barrels they're using, so that accounts for the color obviously,
Yeah.
but the flavor notes are
The Blanco to me is very, very crisp and has a lot of green notes. But then by the time we get to this, it's a very warm profile to me.
yes, yeah. This is definitely even though it's got a sweet nose, I would venture to pair this with a cigar. I think it's versatile. I think if you wanted to, you could put it in an old fashioned in a cocktail. I wouldn't, but this would be great for after dinner, wouldn't it? Or with a
Yeah,
dessert.
yeah.
Wow.
I'm not a cigar smoker. I'm not sure if, yeah, well, I've had a couple of cigars, but I'm not a cigar aficionado. Um, I'm not sure if I would personally do a cigar with this.
It depends on the cigar, and I'll be honest, because there are some cigars that are much more robust. You would have to go with a lighter cigar,
Mm.
possibly some of the Mexican brands like Romeo and Julieta. They make a nice mild cigar. Even a
Oh,
mild Nicaraguan, for that matter. I wouldn't do a harsh Dominican or maybe even a good Cuban. I don't know, or any of your commercial cigars like Punch makes some really decent middle of the road lines. But I wouldn't go robust, and I wouldn't go too light.
yeah,
I mean, you'd
yeah,
have to pair it with a specific type of cigar. But and that's why I say
absolutely.
it's versatile. Um, but I would pair this with like a flan or something. This would be great with a dessert.
Mm.
Wow. Wow, what a great nose.
Yeah, the wood is really singing here.
Yep.
And it's all just, the wood notes are really just coming from the wood because these barrels haven't been used for bourbon or whiskey. So,
Yep.
you're not getting that. It's the oak, pure oak.
Yeah, it's whatever. I'm not sure if they toast it. I'd imagine that they have to, and I'm not exactly sure how heavy or how light. I'd imagine this was a pretty light toast. I could be wrong, but it's really well
Yeah.
balanced. I'll have to
Well,
say.
we're not getting, usually with a higher toast, you get more bitter notes, right? Like we
Hmm.
might be able to, get like some
Leather,
coffee or
tobacco,
something.
cacao. Like a dark chocolate or a bitter chocolate. I get more of the sweeter notes on this one.
Yeah.
Wow, that's beautiful. I don't know about you, man, but I got to go on a limb. I got to say Brand of Promise in that añejo category.
Absolutely. And I will go one further.
Oh,
I nominate this Brand of Promise in the value or bargain category as well.
well, you know, that's one
Because
thing we didn't.
for the quality of this profile,
Uh-huh.
you can get this bottle for $40,
Are you
which
serious?
is, and I'm
The
serious.
añejo?
Yes,
Because
it's
I know that we didn't talk about pricing where the reposado was concerned. So fill me
yeah.
in. What are we looking at in
You know,
California?
the pricing is all very tight. Like the Blanco has the most variation that I've seen. I've seen it from $33 at High Time to $39 at Old Town. The Reposado, $37 at High Time, $40 at Old Town. The Añejo, I believe the Añejo is $40 at both places.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And so, you know, this is a very well constructed profile. It's estate agave. It's, you know, open fermentation tanks. You know, they're doing all the great stuff.
Yes.
And they've constructed an excellent profile, no defects, and the bottle's only $40.
Do you think maybe it's because it's the signature line of Don Polo? You know, we talked about, we mentioned, you know, how this was an unusual tequila because normally you get a tequila that comes out as a blanco. Occasionally you'll get them coming out as reposados. But Don Polo came out onto the market as an añejo only for a long time. And do you think maybe it's because they have so much of it being rested as an añejo, as the signature, as the flagship, as a flagship expression of this particular tequila? Do you think that's why the pricing is the way it is?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure what their strategy is. You know, it's like for a lot of lines, there'll be, you know, like a $5 step between the expressions. Others, you know, there might be a larger step. Some of them, by the time you get up to the añejo and the extra añejo, you know, they're just really huge jumps. So, you know, some brands, you know, choose to keep the price range tight, and others spread it out more. You know, I think this is one of the ones where they've made the decision to have a tight spread.
Yeah, really, for lack of a better terms. Well, I agree with you. Then, if that's the pricing that we're looking at, you know, this is a steal.
You know, I would
$40.
Yeah,
drink
you know,
this
I
all
would
day
be hard
long.
pressed. I would be hard pressed to think of something else I could recommend in the añejo category that would get you this quality for that price point.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. Well, in that case, let's do that. That would make it a triple nominee. So nominee in the
packaging as well.
Packaging, yeah. So, wow, that's outstanding.
Packaging, profile, and price point.
Packaging. Whoa, it's got the 3 P's, and it's Don Polo. That's 4 P's. God, oh my goodness. Well, congratulations to Don Polo. I'm so glad that we have them finally on Sipping Off the Cuff. Very well deserved. You guys need to look for this tequila.
The whole line is together now.
What's that?
The whole line's together now.
The whole line's together.
All 4 expressions. All together now. All together now.
All together now.
Going back to the Beatles.
And you know,
I want to try that Beatles tequila.
Yeah, I want to try that heavy metal tequila, man. That's got to have some really. That's got to scratch all the way down your throat, man. Yeah, can't say enough about how great and really wonderful people. If you ever have a chance to go see Don Polo, if he's signing bottles at Costco or in his restaurant, go say hi. It's just a very accessible man. Speaks very little English, but usually his son Juan Carlos, who is actually a graphics artist and was involved in charge of the look of the Don Polo line. Go up and say hi to both those guys because they're really wonderful people. And if you know, and for those of you who are watching us on YouTube, if you have had this tequila before, Right down there in the comments, let us know. Let us know how much you're paying for it, and what you think, because you know, they're doing everything right as far as we're concerned. So
it's just a classic, elegant, well-constructed wine.
There you go. Well, that's our take. I'm Mike Morales here in San Antonio. You've been watching Sipping Off the Cuff on TequilaAficionado.com and Tequila Aficionado Media and probably YouTube. That gentleman there is
Rick Levy in San Diego.
And like we say here at Tequila Aficionado, tomar sabiamente.
Sip wisely.